This video is not hate towards MatPat at all. It's a dive into his theory, criticism of the theory, and how the fandom has reacted to it after its release. So, MatPat is a good theorist. He's made tons of great theory videos, and some questionable ones to say the least. However, he recently made a theory which is frankly impossible. I'm 100% sure this is undeniably impossible. This is the idea that there is a FNAF ARG, which, if you don't know, stands for Alternate Reality Game, meaning part of, or a whole section of a game, taking place in reality. I'm going to go through a brief summary of his FNAF ARG theory, why it's wrong, and how the fandom has responded. I'll leave timestamps for the sections in the description, but I suggest you watch the whole video, as you'll understand it much better. So, Felix the Shark, book number 12, specifically The Scoop and Felix the Shark, is the main basis of this theory. In Felix the Shark, the main character has the aim of finding the Freddy's location that contained the mysterious Felix the Shark, and he manages to figure out where it is through finding some clues in a novel written by the daughter of the former owner of that location, which led him there. He finds that it has a water park now built around it, but long story short, he gets inside, goes in the tank with Felix, and dies. Now, in The Scoop, a similar idea of finding a real location through clues has been applied, except this time the clues are found by one person in the files of the FNAF 3 mobile port, which led her to a made-up place in Utah, where she discovers that the events of FNAF were somewhat real and discovers a child's body in an animatronic. MatPat believes that this idea of finding a real-life place through clues from games or books is hinting towards a FNAF ARG, and he also believes that another piece of evidence supporting this is the secret, weird instructions from Prankster, such as Stinger Newt, may have had some sort of implications towards a FNAF ARG, as in the Ultimate Guide they are said to possibly have more implications beyond the plot, and MatPat believes they lead to unsolved mysteries. That was quite a brief explanation of the theory, but you get the main idea of what the theory contains, using Felix the Shark and parts of Prankster to support the idea of a FNAF ARG. Now I'll explain why this is not at all the case. One of the small yet big points that debunks this idea is the following message that has been in every single Fazbear Frights book. This book is a work of fiction. Names, characters, places, and incidents are either the product of the author's imagination or are used fictitiously, and any resemblance to actual persons, living or dead, business establishments, events, or locals is entirely coincidental. So yes, even though there was a mention of Utah in The Scoop, and even though the stories contained the characters solving mysteries using clues from a book or games, it doesn't mean that it hints to an ARG in any way, as the books are fiction and are not to be used in real life. They are merely coincidental things, and as we know, the mention of Utah was due to FNAF taking place there. The Scoop's idea of both the events taking place and the games existing in the same universe could be a callback to the game developer mentioned in FNAF VR, Help Wanted. Furthermore, the abnormal instructions and messages in Prankster aren't unsolved mysteries, but in fact are answered in the book. The different messages which are explained as the plot goes on, some being literal instructions and others being anagrams like Sting and Newt, translating to testing room, tell Jeremiah to go to the testing room. The implications beyond the plots mentioned in the Ultimate Guide are simply references to either the Stitch Race Stingers or the game lore itself, and have nothing to do with an ARG. Another thing to take into account is that Fazbear Frights number 12, Felix the Shark, is the collection of the 3 unused and scrapped stories. Yes, they can still be used to make theories and solve the game lore, because the lore implications are still there, but if they're scrapped, it means that even if there is, or was at one point, a plan for an ARG, which I highly doubt, it would have been cancelled along with the stories. Well, it wouldn't be a slight controversy video without the mention of the FNAF fandom, would it? Time to explain the reaction of the FNAF fandom. Now we have the hardcore theorist who watched the theory video and simply disagreed due to it being literally impossible. But then we have the MatPat stands and the more gullible people who took it a step too far. Now this is in no way the fault of Matthew himself, rather his fandom. It was revealed on Reddit that many FNAF fans had actually called a diner in southern Utah asking if they're Freddy Fazbears, and the person who posted this actually worked there and said that they'd received 17 calls just during their shift. Now, this is just outright selfishness and ignorance in my view, as these fans are not taking it into account that this is a diner, and they have customers, they have a business to run, and don't have time to be answering calls left, right and centre about something that almost definitely isn't even happening. Said person was clearly frustrated and had enough of the calls. To everyone watching this video, please do not call any businesses or random addresses asking for the FNAF ARG, as for one, it's inconsiderate, and secondly, it's not even happening. Now, an interesting thing is that a while back, Scott had made a few posts on a similar subject on Steam. He said, a reminder not to call businesses, as there is a new wave of kids calling pizzerias, and to spread the word that there is not a real Freddy's out there. Scott himself in another post also said that he didn't want people to connect Freddy's and Showbiz Pizza to think that Freddy's was based on it, as he wanted to avoid defaming the well-known pizza chain. So, in conclusion, the evidence for the theory has been proven to be invalid, and Scott, in one way or another, has, at one time or another, come out and warned about not calling businesses or associating Freddy's with anywhere real, at least not to a full extent. What are your thoughts on this? Let me know in the comments, and please like, subscribe, share, and do what all the other YouTubers say at the end of videos. I'll see you next time. Goodbye.